Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Our Veterans and Their Stories. My name is Christine Shirley, and we welcome you all again for one of our special guests, and his name is Norm Glover. Norm, how are you today?
Good, good.
Good. Well, we're so happy that you're here with us today and pleased that you decided to come and join us. So I wanted to talk, let's go right into a little bit about your history. 'Cause, your family, from what I understand, goes back to the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, they go back to the beginning, actually, descendants of the Mayflower.
To
If
the Mayflower.
yeah, I guess the most renowned person would be Archibald Willard, which is my great grandfather's uncle. That's the easiest way for me to say it. Right?
Okay, and we have a painting here,
Yes,
correct? Let me just slide over a little bit and we can show it here.
and he was the artist that painted this. His father, Samuel, was actually the model for the gentleman on the drum with the white hair.
Right in the middle. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So he's a relative of yours?
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. And do you know any more history about that painting?
Not really, other than the fact that he painted it, and it was actually painted in the 1860s, not during the Revolutionary War. It was painted later. And it was painted, several copies. There's, I think, one of the originals, because back then, if you wanted a copy, the artist had to repaint it. One of the originals is hanging in Marblehead, Massachusetts. Right. And that's there in the City Hall. City Hall is actually a museum in Marblehead.
And Marblehead, Massachusetts
Right.
is another connection to your
There's
family.
another connection.
And that would be John Glover,
John
correct?
Glover, that was the colonel in charge of the boats at Washington's Crossing, and later, actually, for lack of a better way to explain it, he was the founder of the American Navy, or the U.S. Navy.
And I have a little bit of a write-up on that. John Glover was an American fisherman, a merchant, and military leader from Marblehead, Massachusetts. He was appointed as brigadier general in the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War, and General George Washington put him in charge of the crossing of all the boats safely across the Delaware, Christmas night, to march to Trenton, to the victory to the Battle of Trenton.
Mhm.
So that's some family history you have.
Yeah, they were in there.
And this is a picture of, they do a reenactment. Tell us about
Yes,
that.
there's a reenactment every year with the different organizations that are reenactors, and they do it every year on Christmas Day at Washington's Crossing. Very, very rarely is it canceled. The weather's bad, they're still out there. I'm amazed at what they do.
And you said they have a dress rehearsal for that.
Dress
too, right?
rehearsal is Christmas Eve. I personally like to go on Christmas Eve because there's less people there. I mean, it's identical to the Christmas Day, but there's less people there, and the photography is a little easier to get. Right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And here we have a picture of John Glover. So we'd like to see that as well.
And I can honestly say, I never met him.
So how many greats does that go back?
I don't know.
So then we move on in history. Now, you told me that one of your relatives was part of Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders.
Oh, my great grandfather, who is Archibald's nephew, right? He rode in Cuba with Roosevelt.
And do you know the story about that?
Not exactly. Not exactly. I just know that he was there. That's what he did. Which probably leads us to another thing that I'm sort of passionate about and get involved with, is that he later took his own life. All right. And even though they didn't use the title then, I actually believe it had to do with PTSD. You know, and because of the things, some of the things he had told me, some of the things he wouldn't tell me.
So what exactly is
So-
PTSD?
Post-traumatic stress disorder, right? They've taken the D off. They just call it PTS now for the most part. But
And what was his name?
my grandfather?
Yes,
All right, Alfred Willard.
Alfred Willard. Okay,
Yeah.
so Alfred Willard.
Alfred Willard.
Okay,
yeah.
so he, so when he was with Teddy Roosevelt, do you know how many men were there?
No,
idea?
I didn't.
Did he talk to you about any stories?
Not really, and only because of people that I associate with, my own experience and everything. I knew that he was in some stuff just because it was the same mannerisms. You know, it was 50 years ago, or before, but the mannerisms are still the same.
And how old were you when you met him and when you knew him?
I think it was 13.
So you were about 13 years old.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I had a little write-up here. It says that in 1898, before Teddy Roosevelt was president, he was the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, and he resigned from his position to organize the Rough Riders. They were the first voluntary cavalry in the Spanish-American War. The U.S. was fighting against Spain over Spain's colonial policies in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
So if we move on from there, let's find out about your history.
Oh, okay.
Now, you've had other family members recently in the military,
Yeah, my daughter.
and you were telling me
She
about
just
that.
just graduated from basic training in the Air Force.
And did she go in?
I'm sorry?
Did she go in?
Well, she's Air National Guard,
Oh, she's in the
Air Guard. But I mean, the training is all the same. Same as that. Son-in-law recently retired as a Chief Master Sergeant, which is the highest enlisted rank you can be. And got 2 grandkids that they have, and I don't know which ones they're going to do.
And any your father or uncles?
My dad
Grandfather?
was Army. Uncle was Marines. Others were Navy. Cousins, they were almost all Navy. A few Marines. 1 Air Force, and 1 other one in the Army. Everybody else was, for the most, and a few Coast Guard.
So you come from a long line of military family.
There was a bunch in there, yeah.
In there. So let's find out about you. Now, did you enlist or did you decide?
Yeah, I quit school in 11th grade. Enlisted in the Army. Right. I was 17. Went through basic training, went through my advanced training, and then had to sit in a holding company for 3 months till I turned 18 to be sent to Vietnam.
And that was in the Army?
Yeah.
Correct.
That was in 67.
1967. And when
Yeah.
did you get out?
I got out of the Army in 1970.
70.
Yeah.
And what rank were you?
E5.
And what does that mean?
All right. I gave up. I was a buck sergeant. Then I gave up my stripes because of my position. When I went into where I was, it was a Spec 5 position. So it was either keep the stripes and go somewhere else, or stay where I was at, where I wanted to be, and just change stripes. But it's still the same pay, so I didn't care. So I changed stripes. I ended up as a Spec 5.
Okay. And this was during the Vietnam War?
Yeah. I went to Vietnam first week of December, 67, and came home a couple days before that.
So since you went in when you were 17, did someone have to sign for you to go?
Yeah, my parents.
And how did they feel about that?
So, but they were old school, so it didn't, I had quit school, so it was, you're going to do something. So I went in the Army.
Okay. And when you went in, where did you first go to basic training?
Oh, I went to Fort Bragg, went to basic training there, left there, and when I went in, I was quote-unquote going to be a cook. Went through Army Cook School, which is a great cook school, it really is, and went in a holding company, went to Vietnam, and didn't cook.
You didn't cook at all when you went in?
No, I went there to be one, but at the time when I went, was the first rotation for the 9th Infantry Division, and they needed replacements. So they just changed our orders and just sent us to the Infantry Division. And at that time, which was December, it was sort of like the beginning of Tet, right? The big Tet in 68, right? They were making their advanced moves and they were coming around under Saigon, and some other places were getting hit also. So we were getting hit right away, and there wasn't time for anything else other than fight back.
To fight. So then who did the cooking?
They flew it in.
Oh, they flew it in.
Yeah.
So rations came in?
Yeah, they would fly it into us. Once in a while we get in a base camp or something.
So how long did you spend in Vietnam?
A year.
Year. And tell us about your experiences there. Did you have anyone that stuck out in your mind? Anything
It's like anybody, there's some bad stuff. You try not to dwell on it. You wake up in the middle of the night because of it. But there's some funny stuff. No matter where you're at, there's always something funny. Right? Or there's somebody that's just a natural comedian, and some of the stuff that happens or goes, it just gets goofy.
So what happened
It's
that was
goofy.
funny?
Nah, just a lot of stuff. A lot of things you do. We had trouble getting supplies, and we got things through reappropriation. How's that?
Can you elaborate on that a little?
No, I don't want to elaborate on that.
Okay. Well, while you were in Vietnam for that full year, were you ever allowed leave?
Yeah, I went. I took a week's leave and went to Singapore, and then right before I came home, because R&Rs sort of went by time in country, I waited till November, and I took my R&R and went to Australia.
So what was Singapore like? What did you do there?
Walked around, ate, drank.
Any interesting stories that might have happened there?
I remember going to a movie. I know that sounds weird, but I went to a movie, and it was Mrs. Robinson or whatever. It was Dustin Hoffman. And I remember going to that movie, and you go in the movie theater, right? And here's a bazillion little kids, all in Catholic school uniforms, in the movie.
Wow.
There should have been school.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, just goofy stuff you remember.
That comes to mind. And how about Australia? You went to Australia?
Australia was good. I did some skydiving when I was there.
First time you ever skydived?
Yeah, because when I was at Fort Lee, I was to rigging school, and I was in the jump club there. And I went through all the training, didn't get to make a jump. So I went on R&R. When I made an R&R, I made some jumps.
So you made the jump there.
Yeah.
So when you were still in Vietnam for that year, tell us a little bit more about your job.
It was changed all the time. I mean, you just did what you needed to do and what you were told to do. I mean,
So what did they tell you to do?
when in the beginning, like I said, the advanced moves on Tet, we went up to Long Bin ammunition dump, right? And loaded out ammunition because they couldn't get it to our unit, so they were flying helicopters in and taking it down when they could, because there wasn't enough people in the ammunition dump to meet the demand. So we were the extra manpower, and we were in Long Bin ammunition dump when it blew up, when it was blown up.
So you didn't get hurt?
Almost, but not quite.
What happened?
It blew it up.
No, what happened to you? I mean,
Oh, it blew up. We saw the explosion, and it looked like a big mushroom cloud. And being youngsters, we just started running to try to get to a bunker, right? Well, luckily, there was a senior NCO who just came up behind us and just knocked us down.
oh, wow.
We were on the ground, and the shock wave went over us, and we were okay. If he hadn't done that, we probably all would have got hurt pretty bad.
Wow, thank God for him
Yeah,
being there.
yeah.
Wow, it's amazing.
I knew that was going to happen.
So,
Do we want to stop and fix it? Okay.
so what was your next assignment?
Then I went to 3rd or 39th in Racine. Oh, it's down now. Yeah, I went down to my unit, 3rd or 39th in Racine, and was assigned to headquarters, but we just did whatever we were told to do.
And where was headquarters?
In Racine.
In
It was a
Racine,
fire support base.
And that was still in Vietnam?
Yeah, it was down in the Delta,
Okay.
right? And then we just went on a lot of different operations and stuff.
Okay. And
It was
did
up
you?
in Nabe, and we were securing a tank farm and where the Navy refueled their patrol boats. And we got hit one night pretty hard, and that's when I got wounded.
So you were wounded there. Yeah.
Yeah,
How did that happen? I mean, if you can
it was a
elaborate a
rocket
little
attack.
bit. It was a rocket attack.
Yeah, yeah, they just hit us with. The best way to explain it was about the size of the area we were in. It was about the size of a soccer field, and they dropped like 200 rounds on us. It was unbelievable how much they dumped on us, but luckily came out of it.
It's amazing. And then from there, you went on to another assignment. Is that right?
Just kept moving around wherever
Moving
they sent me.
around? Did
Yeah,
you go to?
because I
go
was I was assigned to one unit, but I ended up TDY and then back and then TDY and then moving all around all the time.
And you never got a chance to cook?
No.
No.
No, once in a while in a fire support base because the guys knew who I were, and you talk, right? I'd get in there once in a while. I could do something like make a pizza at night or something like that. Just stuff.
What about security? Didn't you tell me you at one point were part of
Later,
security? That
later
was on?
when after I came back from Vietnam, which is weird because I had to cook MOS and everything. I came back from Vietnam and ended up being in charge of a motor pool
And this was where?
at Fort Dix, and I was in charge of the motor pool, and I had protocol and dignitary security was part of my assignment, right? It was probably the bigger part of it because we took care of the family notifications, survival assistance. We took care of the funerals, and we took care of, as I said, dignitary security. A lot of different people came on and off the post from other areas, and then we took care of the dignitary visits at the UN.
So you had to go to the UN as well?
Yeah,
You
we were up
did?
in New York we stayed at Fort Hamilton and just took care of the UN people.
Can you talk a little bit about the titles of the type of people that you?
There was some pretty high-ranking people. They were heads of state, and back then it was a little different than it is now.
In what way?
Well, everybody's like, well, Secret Service does this and whatever. At the time, Secret Service had their hands full, and as a military, we ended up doing
You did
some of
that.
the stuff that they did.
Any interesting experiences while you were there?
Funny stuff.
Tell us about that.
There was one particular UN visit, a head of state. His wife, the only thing she wanted to do was go shopping in Harlem.
You
Still
wanted to
have,
shop in Harlem?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know what she knew about Harlem, but I told her it wasn't one of the best ideas there was. So anyway, we went there and we came out okay. And
So you took her there.
yeah, but the other people with me,
What did she want to buy?
she didn't. She just wanted to go there.
Oh, she just wanted to see it. Oh, but she didn't buy anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then I came down on a name levy for Europe, went into Germany, and I got assigned to NATO headquarters in Brussels, Belgium. So I was at NATO, attached to NATO, assigned to SHAPE in Brussels.
and how long were you there?
I was there for a year. I was there for a year. That was a great assignment. Great assignment.
Tell us about it.
Basically doing the same thing I was doing at the motor pool of Fort Dix. Protocol, dignitary security. We did forgive me, I can't even remember their names. When the astronauts came back from the first time, they walked on the moon. We did their tour when they did their world tour. We took care of that.
So was that John Glenn?
No, there was
No.
3 of them.
Um,
It was the 3 guys that went, and
Neil Armstrong? Buzz Aldrin?
yeah, I think, like I said, I don't even remember the names. It was so long ago, but it was the 3 guys that did the first moon landing.
Moon landing. Okay.
Yeah.
So they actually landed on the moon.
So there was, stuff like that. Met a lot of neat people, a lot of, if you want to say it, high-level people, and got involved with.
Can you talk about any of them?
I prefer not to.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
just. In fact, I recently saw the son of one. And he lives in New Jersey.
But you're
And-
not going to tell us who
No.
it is? Okay. Well, it sounds like such an interesting time you had. How did you get into that security position
I
initially?
don't even know. That's what I'm saying. I ended up, like I said, I went through cook school and I ended up as a motor sergeant. Right?
How
And
did it
then,
happen?
And then I had those assignments. Well, it just fell in my lap, and because of what we did, part of my experience in Vietnam, you just do what you got to do.
Right.
You don't question. Do you have this degree? Who cares? There's a job to be done. You do it.
You do it.
That's what we did.
Is there any other thoughts on your experiences there that you could bring about to let us know?
Well, I guess that leads us basically to where I am now.
Well,
is-
once you got home, let's go to once you got home.
Right.
Now, when you,
When I came home, flew home, and when I finally got to Philadelphia, I got out of the airplane and I had the taxi driver take me to the Liberty Bell.
did,
Yep. I had to go there. I got out, and back then you could touch the bell. I went there, and then I went home. And I never told anybody I was coming home.
wow. And so what made you decide that you wanted to do that?
Just from coming up was always there, like we would take a bus or a train and go downtown when we were kids, and it was there. And back then, it wasn't like now. You could walk in Independence Hall and look. I mean, it was like roped off, but you could walk in and look at all the stuff in the building. The bell was right inside the door. You could touch the bell.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can't,
do that
You can't do any of
anymore,
that now.
no.
Can't do it. You'd walk around in downtown Philadelphia or Old Town Philadelphia, Old City, whatever. Betsy Ross House and all that other stuff. It was all there. So it's just part of it's just something I had to do.
So did you come home with your military uniform on?
Yeah, you didn't have any choice. It was civilian clothes.
What was the reaction? Did people have any negative reactions? Was it
A
positive
lot of
reactions
negative
to you?
reactions. It was 1970. Oh no, when I came home from Vietnam, it was 1968. The end of 1968. There was a number of names called. And people spit on us. A number of other things. You try to stay out of it. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you just have to do what you got to do.
Did you get into fights over it?
Sometimes.
You did.
Yeah.
But did you have people that were positive with you?
Yeah, but not many. Not many. Not. Well, I guess it goes back to the media. The media didn't cover the people that were positive about it. The media only covered the negative side, and maybe it goes back to what you hear as an old rule is if you can't sensationalize it, don't report it. So it would get twisted. I mean, look at the media right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing positive. The only thing they can do is spin something to make it negative. So media's not my favorite thing.
I can understand.
But so far, we haven't had any beeps.
Any beeps?
Beeps.
What kind of beep?
Censored beeps.
Oh, censor beeps. Okay. No, you haven't had any. So when you return home, now nobody knows you're coming home. So
No,
what
no.
happened
I remember I got out of the cab. I dropped off my bag at the neighbor's house, I didn't know you were coming home. Nobody else does either, Bernie. All right.
Was it late at night? In the
No, it
morning?
was in the afternoon. And I dropped the bag, and I went around to my mom's and dad's house, and I walked in the front door, and my mother was ironing, and I had to go catch her. because she just started shaking and dropped the iron, and I just had to go get her.
Wow.
And my dad was working, and he stopped home on his way in. He was a truck driver, and he stopped by, and I waited in the kitchen when he came in the house, and then I came out, and he was kind of shocked too.
Aw.
Yeah.
So you were home for good.
Well, I was home for 30 days, and then I ended up at Fort Dix, so I did commute back and forth, and then I went to Belgium.
Okay. So when you came home for good,
Mhm.
what did you do? Like your first day, you're home.
Looked for a job. I was 20 years old, so legally I couldn't drive a tractor trailer, even though I knew how. So I I did different stuff, small jobs, not big deal, right? And then turned 21. I went into trucking, and part of that is I wanted to pursue a culinary degree, but the money they paid to work in the kitchen and then the money I could make driving a truck was almost four times as much. So I jumped in a
Wow.
truck.
Yeah.
And part of that worked because different things, and it was easier for me to get in a truck, drive over the road. I didn't want to deal with people. I just did not want to deal with people. And I got in a truck, get to the other end, here's your load. Go somewhere else, I'm here for this load, leave. I didn't have to talk to people.
And that was because of being in Vietnam?
I think so. I talked to a psychologist that I know, and he said, I tell people, if you can crawl into a cave. So that truck was my cave for 10 years. And then came out of it a little bit, if you will. And then I had a business in addition to driving. And then just went promoting that, and I just got a little more social, if you will. And then it took a while to get that way.
But that helped.
Somewhat. And it's sort of, I'm retired from trucking, from labor and from management, because I held a number of positions. I worked my way up to vice president. And then I had my own company. So it was just a lot of different things along the way, and every little piece added to it. Then I was, my last job got downsized, and I applied for unemployment. So, okay, applied for unemployment, and they sent me these things. I had to come for these interviews. So I go to this interview, and it was about 6 years ago, and I got hired, and I've been there ever since. Which sort of works out because right about that time is when I met Joe Bellardo, who's commander of Military Order Purple Heart. And we had talked, I was still working in the trucking industry, and we had talked, and he knew I had a Purple Heart, and we talked about a couple different things, and he grabbed my butt and said, in the car, took me to the VA, got me back into the system, took me to a VSO, filed claims, and got my disability ratings up and everything. So I'm retired from trucking. I got this job, which is with the New Jersey Hospital Association. I'm a Veterans Healthcare Navigator.
That's wonderful.
The title started as Mental Health Care Navigator. Our primary purpose is suicide intervention. But the way you stop suicides is to eliminate stressors. One of the things that is good, and when we first put the program together, because I was part of the original part, is there is no restriction due to character of discharge. And that way, because there's I think there's over 200 things they can put on the DD-214 or separation papers, and 6 or 7 main characters of discharge. And everything you see, like when you go to the legislators, they pass all these bills and they sound wonderful. till you get to the last paragraph. And it says only honorably discharged. And an example that I'll give you is that here's a guy, and this is just a hypothetical, but I know that there's similar cases. There's a guy has been in the service 20 some years, had 3, 4, 5 combat tours, maybe 1, 2 Purple Hearts, maybe more, right? The guy's been in the crap. And at that point in his career, he doesn't take any crap. Gets into a verbal, and I emphasize a verbal, confrontation with a junior grade officer, second lieutenant, right? Second lieutenant's going to prove what he can do because he's an officer. Guy gets kicked out with a dishonorable discharge because he had a verbal confrontation with a second lieutenant.
That's terrible.
But I mean, it does happen, right? Okay, so now he's got to pay a paper. 23, 24 years of good service and loses all his benefits over a 5-minute conversation.
That's terrible.
So we pushed to make sure the character of discharge didn't count. If you served, you put your hand up and served, that's all we care about. And what we do is connect dots. Don't know how else to put it, but we connect dots. If they need housing, food, medical care, mental health care, we can help navigate the VA system, the state system, state social services systems, and get them the help they need.
And where should they get in contact you for that?
They can just call the hospital association.
So it's called
Right.
the Hospital Association?
Yeah, New Jersey Hospital Association. Just tell them they need to talk to a Veterans Healthcare Navigator. And there's 7 of us.
That's terrific.
So
That's terrific that you're doing. How long have you been involved in that?
6 years.
6 years now.
6 years. The only way I know how to describe it is they're paying me to do something I would volunteer to do. So I fell into something that they pay me good money, not big money, but good money, right? And, it's, like I said, they're paying me for something I would volunteer to do.
And it's something you love to do.
Yeah, because it's I've gotten more involved. I'm around people that I understand and people understand me. I don't have to whitewash anything. I can just say it like it is. They understand. They can speak to me the same way, and I understand. Like I said, eliminate the stressors. Now there's different numbers that are floated about, but I'll just use a round number of 20 suicides a day.
Oh, my.
In the last 4 months, New Jersey National Guard has lost 5.
Oh,
So there's, a definite effort being made. There's a definite reason for it. And
so
we
how
just-
many people have you helped, would you say, over
I don't
the
know.
last? You don't
I don't know. There's rules about this and that, and I don't ask questions. I ask what's important to get them what they need and help them, on the right track, help them and their families. But a lot of stuff isn't part of it, so I don't concern myself with it. Every day I'm in the middle of something, and everybody knows my phone number is 24/7. I don't care.
That's terrific.
I can't do this
That's
8 to 5
terrific.
thing.
No.
Right.
God bless you for doing
Yeah.
that. That's
Well,
wonderful.
God bless our funders, because we've had some great funders. One in particular is Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Another one is the state has helped us some. So the people that provide the grant money is what pays us. So
It keeps you going.
yeah,
Wow.
and they've been very supportive, very supportive. I can't say enough about that.
And tell us a little bit more about the other organizations that you're with. I know you talked about Joe, and how did
Right.
you meet Joe, and how did you get involved in the?
The company I
Well-
worked for bought a building that he had, and we met. I saw his Purple Heart license plate. He saw and my hat, because I didn't wear a hat. I didn't identify myself to anybody, but I went to work for this company, and this one guy kept coming in with a Navy hat.
This is your hat here.
Yeah. But he kept coming in with a Navy hat. So I had to get even, so I brought my Army hat. Right? So that's how that started.
I think
Right?
these are terrific. I
Yeah.
love this. I always stop anyone that is wearing
Yeah.
a hat. So,
But that's how that started. And then Joe saw my hat. I saw his license plate. We started talking and became friends. And like I said, he just snatched me up one day, put me in a car, took me to Lions, and got me in the system. Then got me with the VSO and got my claims straightened out. So it worked. Joe brought me out of a lot of stuff.
sounds like it. And how long have you been with the Purple Heart now?
About 6 years, 7
6
years,
years,
something like
7
that.
years.
I mean, I didn't join organizations. I did join a couple organizations, and there was questions about where things went. Anyway, we got it resolved. I belong to Military Order of Purple Heart, Association of the Army, DAV, Disabled American Veterans, and trying to get resolved whatever happened to my membership with VVA. But until Joe, I wasn't an active member, if you want to call it that. And then with this job, and I just plug it together.
So,
Senior Vice Commander for Military Order Purple Heart for the state,
that's wonderful.
yeah, and Vice Commander for my chapter.
And
Involved in
within
that.
within your organizations, what type of things do you do? I mean,
With
do you know, helping other organizations out? Or
Well,
what
we
do you
all
do?
I sit on what's called VLAC, Veterans Executive Legislative Action Committee. We meet once a month in Trenton, and we deal with legislation, right? Legislation that pertains to veterans and their families. I recently, within the last 2 weeks, got a bill put into the Assembly and the Senate, which is Assembly 5576 and the Senate 3998, right? Which is the burial of indigent veterans. There's a lot of problems with that. I'll just be kind and say there's various people that felt that if you didn't apply for welfare, you weren't qualified as indigent. So we had to get that resolved. There was 21 counties, 21 definitions of the rules and interpretations. So the new law clearly defines it and takes away 21 counties. It takes away one definition. And the example I'll give you, we just had a guy, in fact, they're going to name the bill after it, Harry Thompson. He laid in the morgue for 10 months because somebody didn't want, he had an entire estate of $145, his entire estate. And a lady from the county just said, he's not indigent, he didn't apply for welfare.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, there's a lot of people that were displeasured over that. Is that a nice way to put that?
God bless you for
We didn't
doing
get
that.
it. We didn't get it
That's-
beeped. We didn't get it beeped, did we?
No, we didn't.
All right.
No,
And I'm also with City of Angels. Portion. I'm a trustee with them, and it is it has to do with opioid use. Right. Almost everybody there, other than myself, has lost a child or a close family member due to drugs. Okay. The portion that I'm most involved with is called Warrior Down. Right. And it goes back to what I said. People will be in the service, they'll get wounded or severely hurt. They go, and the example I'll use, they send them down to Lejeune. They go into this wounded warrior battalion, right? And historically, the VA and DOD over-medicate. You know, give them a pill, it's quicker, right? Okay, so then these guys get returned to duty because back in the old days, a disability, you were out. Now, they're making exceptions for that. So these guys will get hit with a random. Now they're a drug user. They kicked out with a dishonorable, no benefits again, right? what happened to all that time in front of
Right,
that?
right, when they put in.
So we've been able to help with getting some discharges turned around. And the other part is we get them help. Get them, whether it's medical help, help for their substance abuse, help for their mental disorders. All right. So it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a terrific job.
Um,
You
I,
really are.
I don't take the credit for it. I work with some great people. I work for, like I said, I have an employer that supports what I do. We have funders that support it, and we also have different organizations and portions of the public that support it. And it's not just the ones that go, "Thank you for your service," right? You can tell when that's real, when it's not, right? But we've got some people that genuinely care and make the effort to make it happen.
I think getting
we're
the
looking-
word out is so important.
And-
Talking about it and for us to be able to talk to you about everything that you've done here. If there's places where the people can get in touch with you in regards to this, I mean, we can certainly show that, phone numbers, whatever you might have.
Yeah, again, contact New Jersey Hospital Association.
That's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Okay, so
That's where
it'll
it
start
starts.
there. Somebody
They can
needs
look
help.
on the Facebook page. They can look on the website. There's a lot of things on there.
And the Facebook page is the same.
Yeah,
the
New
same.
Jersey Hospital Association, and then there's derivatives of it. You'll see different portions.
Okay. Terrific.
Yeah.
Terrific.
And it's being able to connect to people with social services, to veteran services, whatever it is. You just have to you have to know where the dots are to connect them. And
That's
every
the
day,
hard part for
every day I
people.
just make more contact and more contact. One of my brother-in-laws was in sales, and we were talking one day, and I guess if I don't remember anything else about him, it was the one thing he told me, which again back then I was not a real social person, and he just said, find something in common with that person, no matter what it is, and then build on that, and it works.
Yes,
And it works. It's that simple.
it does.
It works.
It does.
And then I ended up, I had got downsized before the last time I got downsized. And New Jersey has what is called tuition reimbursement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And under the tuition reimbursement, you can go to a public school, community college or college, and you don't pay tuition.
Right.
The state picks it up, right? I knew where I was weak in circuit. I had moved into management and I didn't finish high school. So I knew where I was weak, so I took some courses to do that. Then when I got a job and went back to work, I said, I'm going to keep going. So in 2012, I graduated from Mercer County College and I was the class speaker.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That is
So
wonderful.
I came out of there with a business management degree, associates, right? And I'm working on a culinary and a pastry degree now. So, but I still cook. I mean, I won't cook commercially, if you will, or anywhere. I have some friends with restaurants that say, hey, somebody didn't show up. Could you come in and help me out for a couple of hours? I might do that, right? But other than that, I'm always going to eat. So, I just do that.
Well, you have such a interesting life and career.
Thank you.
I mean, thank you for everything that you've done to help veterans. They're really some of the most important people here. I mean, if it wasn't for people like you, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah. And one of the things that helps make us, when I say us, I'm talking about the team that I work with, successful is the change in demeanor with the VA. It's not your grandfather's VA. It has changed a lot. We've made contacts and connections at different levels, and we're able to make things happen, and also be involved with things that where they listen.
And what's caused
And
that change to come about?
everybody raising hell,
That's good.
the suicides,
Yeah.
all of that, that's
Yeah.
part of it. And one of the examples is, and New Jersey split into 3 different VAs, which can be a problem at one time. The northern 14 counties belong to the New Jersey Hospital in East Orange. Gloucester, Camden, Burlington belong to Philadelphia. The lower 4 counties belong to Wilmington. The director at East Orange is very, very good man. Very good man. Philadelphia, they just got a new director last week. Hopefully it improves. Wilmington, the guy that is running that, is basically, for lack of a better term, he's the poster boy for the VA. He is charged with creating change, and he's doing it.
Oh, wonderful.
Right?
Wonderful.
One of the things that prompted that was a suicide in front of the vet center. The vet set himself on fire. And they got rid of some people that they had, brought him in, and they said, fix it, and he's doing it. And it's my understanding that everything that he does and gets set up in programs is supposed to expand to all the other VAs too.
That's wonderful.
So we'll see.
That's wonderful.
We'll see.
I hope so.
Oh, I do.
I
I
hope
do.
so.
I wish he could take over the whole state.
How he's that good. It sounds like
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So wonderful. So it sounds like your military service really affected your whole life.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
yeah.
going in the military really.
And one of the trucking company that I worked for, I was there. One company I was there for 26 years, and probably the primary reason for that is because it was structured in a military manner.
Oh, it was.
So it wasn't hard to understand what had to be, what, you know, the way it went up and the way it went down was all that way. So it was easy.
Terrific.
It was easy. It's a shame that company's not around anymore, but
That's
they got bought out by a
terrific.
company on Wall Street and they changed the whole thing.
So if you had a message to leave for any future generations, Norm, what would you say?
Be true to yourself. Be true to your heart. Be true to your family. Be true to your country. What else is there?
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Everything else you can do. Yeah, there's nothing else that matters but that.
True, you're right. Had you gone into Washington to see the Vietnam Memorial?
Yeah, but it was a long, long time until I could do that. I couldn't do it. Finally, I was able to go a while back. And then with Joe, right, every 5th anniversary, they read every name on the wall. And I've done that with them. And it's an
beautiful.
experience.
That's...
Yeah, it was a long time before I could go to that wall.
Had you seen any of your friends on the wall that you had
Yeah.
known?
Yeah, I've looked up the names. You can go to this building and they have the book, and you can go, or you can go on the internet and look for it and find out what panel it's in. And I've gone to the New Jersey Memorial and picked that, and I'm not even from New Jersey, but was able to pick out people that I knew.
That's terrific. That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you can think of that we haven't gone over, we haven't covered maybe, that you want to talk about?
No?
No? Okay.
You?
No, it's your show. Okay, well, I really, really grateful and appreciate the fact that you came on and you spoke to us about your family history, about your career and your military experiences, and being in the Purple Heart and all the other organizations that you've been in. You know, God bless you for everything that you're doing to help veterans.
Thank you.
It's
And-
really appreciated.
And if I had one other thing to say would be anybody with military experience, do not hesitate to use the vet center. If I had gone to the vet center a lot earlier, maybe my older kids would have seen a different me, or my younger one. I have a 40, a 37, and a 16.
Oh, okay.
And
It's
and
great.
they may have seen a different me. I mean, and maybe part of that being brought up by old school parents. I did spend a year in an orphanage, so I appreciate certain things that other people don't. But at the same time, I understand a lot of things that people dealt with or go through. So that's the only, like I said, if nothing else, make use of that, because that does not go by character or discharge. They will take care of anybody.
That's wonderful. You know, and it is a privilege that we live here in the United States.
Yeah.
And again, if it isn't for people like you, it wasn't, you know, we wouldn't be safe. We wouldn't be where we are. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank you so very much. I really
you.
appreciate you being here with us today, Norm. Thank you. And thank you all for joining us once again for our segment of Our Veterans and Their Stories. Norm had a very special and moving story today, and we really appreciate him being here. And thank you all, and God bless you all, and God bless America.